Hello and welcome to Post Game Theory. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. Today we are going to break down Alex Sarr. Still not live. Not sure if we're live here. Okay, we're live. Took me a second to figure out if there was a delay on the new software I'm using. Like I said in the comments, using a new set of software tools here. We're going to break down Alex Sarr. We're going to break down Cam Whitmore. We're not going to break down the game that they played tonight, where Houston obliterated the Washington Wizards by 23 points. Alex has been a little bit better than he has been in this game tonight, so I want to talk about that. We're going to talk about Cam Whitmore, who's been really fun over the course of the last 9 games. He's averaging over 13 points. He's been a little bit more active defensively. We'll talk through that a little bit more. And then we're going to do a breakdown of Kasparas Jakucionis, one of my favorite prospects in the 2023 or 2025 NBA draft. But first, let's hit the music.
They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Way downtown.
Bang! Bang! What's this gonna be? Wow! Are you kidding me?
Hello and welcome to the Game Theory Podcast. I'm your host, Sam Vecenie. But if you watch the tape, what you will see completely orchestrated this game. All right, so let's jump in. Let's talk through some things. There are going to be some hiccups here, probably, while I figure out how to use this new software. Why am I using a new software? Largely, it is because I have been annoyed by the quality of the video when I break down games. I would like the quality to be a little bit better. We're going to try and use OBS. We're going to see if that helps and is able to increase the quality of the tape so that you can actually see when I'm writing things down on the camera and actually see without any sort of crazy latency what happens during these plays that I'm breaking down. So let's start with Cam Whitmore, because Cam Whitmore has been really fun. Whitmore tonight in that game that I mentioned earlier against Washington had 17 points, came off the bench, played 18 minutes, was a +2. Like, nothing insane. The Rocket starters just completely blew them away in the third quarter. It was actually a relatively close game in the first half. Washington got out to a really nice lead. But the reason that I'm breaking down one of Cam Whitmore's games from about a week ago, we're going to do the Dallas game, is because I just wanted this whole new software thing to go a little bit smoothly. Like, I would love to break down Zion's game tonight. We'll probably break down Zion's game maybe tomorrow morning or something like that, tomorrow afternoon at some point once I get the hang of the software a little bit. But I really wanted kind of everything to go just a little bit smoother with this. So I wanted to have all the tape pulled ahead of time and not be kind of scrambling on the fly, trying to watch games, trying to pull tape at the same time. So we're going to break down. I knew I wanted to do Cam Whitmore. I knew I wanted to break down Alex Sarr. So that's what we're going to talk through. So Whitmore goes for 17 tonight. Over Cam Whitmore's last 8 games coming into this one, he averaged 12.9 points, shooting 44% from the field, 37% from 3, 91% from the line, 4.4 rebounds per game, like 0.6 assists, which we've come to know and love from Cam Whitmore. We also recognize that at some point he's going to have to get better at this. He's absolutely going to have to figure out how to pass the ball. I think we've seen some signs, like a few signs that he's coming around as a passer and playmaker, but we're going to have to see a few more over the course of his career. But what I've really been encouraged by is actually the defense. I think he's showcased some really impressive moments defensively here and there where the engagement just looks a little bit better. So we're going to go back in time about a week ago. We're going to talk about Cam Whitmore, and we're going to talk about the Dallas game particularly. He played all of the second quarter and all of the fourth quarter in this game. Whitmore's rotations remain an enigma to me on some level, but That's the reality of where we're at here. So let's just kind of jump in and talk through the tape here. New layout. Hope that the quality and everything looks a bit better. So here, he's going to get the ball at the top, getting guarded by Spencer Dinwiddie. He's going to take a quick DHO from Fred VanVleet, and then we're just going to get into ISO cam zone, right? So this is about as classic Cam Whitmore as you're going to find. This is like a pseudo wrap pin. So for people who don't know, like a wrap pin play is going to be where you see these two down screens here getting set by Fred VanVleet and by Steven Adams. And then the man in the corner typically is going to come up this way and either take like a zoom Chicago action, or he's going to curl in here for a potential shot. A wrap pin is basically that you get this screen here, you get this screen here, and then the corner man's going to come up and set this screen for somebody to come up and either screen or get the ball or curl or do any of the things that I just said. So what happens here is you get this little rub wrap pin into a quick little catch by Fred, into a DHO from Cam. And I just want you guys to see how far Spencer Dinwiddie ends up going sliding here. Again, you kind of see all of the flaws and all of the good stuff that Cam Whitmore does all at once, right? You get to see the ability to stop start, the ability to create his own shot, the looseness of the handle a bit here, right? Where he kind of loses the ball right here for a second. Then gets into his ISO game. And then he has ridiculous touch to be able to drill this shot. Yeah, I'd like to see him step back from three, but he's been doing a better job of that this year for the most part. Kind of a prototypical Cam Whitmore possession in a lot of ways. So a fun one to start with, but that's two of what I think he had 18 in this game, if I remember correctly. I think he had 18 in 24 minutes. I can pull that up while we're talking. 18, 3 rebounds in 24 minutes. By the way, I don't know if Rockets fans have checked out the Reed Shepherd G League experience yet. I would recommend it, is what I would say about that. I would recommend people look at the Rio Grande Valley Oklahoma City game. We might do a full breakdown of a G League game just because of this. I don't know. But Reed Shepherd went for 49 points, 6 assists, 5 rebounds on 17 of 33 from the field. He took 19 threes. Just beautiful, beautiful basketball. Beautiful basketball in the G League from Reed Shepherd tonight. Okay. A lot of defensive clips here that we're going to talk about with Whitmore. This is good. These two pass off a switch right. Whitmore comes up off onto Hardy. Good communication, good work. I like the way he gets through this screen. Gets right up over the top. Stays tight to the screen, takes a great angle. One thing with Whitmore that I do notice defensively with him, his hips aren't wildly flexible getting through screens. He is kind of a thicker dude. He does get caught on them from time to time. This was a really good rep though. Now we get another communicated switch here. He's on PJ Washington. Perfect work. Gets back, fights through it, gets over the top. This isn't anything wildly complicated, but to me, it's pretty good attention to detail. Good switch, doesn't get lost. Gets up over the top of the screen. That would be a potential spot for a breakdown right here in this exchange in the corner. No breakdown. Does a good job navigating that screen, getting around lively. Good contest. Now they're out on the break, right? That's all Whitmore needs to do. It's all he needs to do. If he can do that stuff consistently, that's really, really good. When you pair it with his scoring ability on offense, that's enough. So this one, you can see him kind of creeping in, trying to figure out, okay, how am I going to be able to cut here? How is Alpi going to be able to hit me? So you get this little kind of combo action here where you have, I believe that's Holiday coming up over the top. You have Fred trying to set a 5-1 ball screen here, and Alpi's going to try and get downhill. Because of all of this action here, if Alpi beats Lively, Kleba has to be here for help. And as soon as Kleba gets there for help, Whitmore has the ability and the wherewithal and the intelligence to cut. Why do you cut here as opposed to standing in the corner? Because you make life harder on this guy. You make PJ Washington make a decision here between do I guard the cut or do I guard the 3-point line? If they're both at the 3-point line here, PJ can reasonably guard 1-on-2 here. PJ's a really good defender. Whitmore opens himself up, creates this little potential angle that was open a second ago. Then Alperin does a really good job of drawing Kleba to him again, finding this little in-between angle. Whitmore goes up, gets Lively in the air, physical, strong enough to be able to go through the contact. That's another reason why I loved Whitmore pre-draft. Physical, strong, powerful, goes up through the contact, finishes, makes the free throw. Up to 5 points now. Defensively again, this is the one breakdown that I really noticed defensively. And it is kind of classic Whitmore if he is going to break down defensively. So what happens here? You get this little rub screen here from Lively as Kleba kind of comes through to set this screen for PJ Washington. The Rockets are going to have him fight around the screen involving the 5-man. And then they're going to switch this little exchange here between Kleba and Washington. You can see here, Whitmore's eyes are on Washington, but his feet are just flat. He kind of turns his hips a little bit too far this way, and Washington realizes that he has an angle to the rim this way. It's small little attention to detail stuff. You can see how high he skies in the air. You can see the potential recovery ability. But by and large, that's where he's going to break down if he's going to break down. The good news in this game, didn't really have many breakdowns. I thought he was actually quite good defensively in this game. We're going to get another rep here. Look, he's guarding a guy that's a questionable shooter in Kleba. Not a terrible shooter, but a questionable one. He does a good job getting up onto Gafford here, tagging the roller while Alperin gets back. Then he gets the rebound. Now we're out. And he's just way more athletic and powerful and stronger than Maxi Kleba. This is a play where they should not have an advantage here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Mavericks defenders for only 1, 2 Houston players. But this is where having somebody that has this immense amount of explosiveness and power really comes into play. Because if he can decide, I'm just going to go downhill, before Daniel Gafford gets back while he's guarding the trailer. These are easy buckets that you're creating in transition for your team. I think Whitmore's really useful for this Rockets team that just like sometimes needs an influx of offense and playmaking. Jalen Green's been really good the last 4 games, but like his inconsistency does happen from time to time. I would like to have another body off the bench that can consistently play and can consistently be relied upon to give his teammates a bit of a punch from time to time. So this one, again, defensively, really good from Whitmore here. So on this roll, it's a little bit confusing, or I can see a reason why it would be a little bit confusing, let me say, for who the low man is on this. It's a well-spaced court. It's like a middle ball screen where you're not sure where exactly Kyrie's going to go, left or right. But you know Gafford is rolling here. This is Jalen Green's responsibility. Now, I will say, some teams, when you have Klay Thompson in the corner versus Maxi Kleber in the corner, will ask the strong side man on middle ball screens like this to kind of stunt and tag in from time to time, because you don't necessarily want to leave Klay Thompson wide open. That's really just all dependent upon what your scheme is. I wasn't in their meetings. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I was. But by and large, Jalen Green is the weak side man here. He should be available to tag. What I like about this is, and what I like about Houston defensively in general, is that Fred VanVleet here is in perfect position as they blitz this ball screen. He is able to close out onto his man if the pass goes there. He is perfectly in between Kyrie's angle to shoot one over to Klay, which is part of what makes me say that the Rockets likely want Jalen Green to be the tagger here. So Green gets over a little bit late. But this is where having just a super athlete on the wing and on the corner being able to run over and make plays like this helps. He goes, gets the deflection. Now they're out in transition. Şengün drives, gets the early bucket. This is awesome. Like, this is really good work. Really simple. We're playing simple offense and simple defense here. It's kind of what I like about Houston. It's all about culture and all about playing defense and playing the game the right way. And this one, in the modern day, if Spencer Dinwiddie is going to leave you this much space in transition for you to walk into a three, and you're a good shooter like Whitmore is, this is absolutely, unequivocally a shot you have to take. It's a no-brainer. He drills it up to like 9 or 10 points now. We're going to get the reversal to the wing. This one, you know, when I first watched it and I didn't realize like quite how tight this shot clock was. You know, we're at 5 seconds left on the shot clock. I was kind of like annoyed at first that Whitmore took this, but when the Mavericks decide to put 2 on the ball here against Fred, Jalen Green does a really good job of relocating up here. That's going to force this closeout. And then Klay has to X out here. That's what we mean by X out. Gafford's coming this way. Klay's recovering, coming this way. If you ever hear that term. You get the Whitmore jab step. Creates the separation. Like, this isn't a disastrous shot here. He gets it off. 1.4 left on the shot clock. Just a little short, but that's a shot that works for me given how late they were in the shot clock. They end up drawing the foul here too on Şengün, who I think got like bowled over underneath the rim. This one, you're going to get the kick out. Whitmore brings it back into Şengün. I love the two-man game here. Honestly, I kind of think Whitmore might have just like stopped, surveilled, and taken the shot a year ago. And it would have been like a slightly contested jumper against Clay. But here, I love that he dribbles, goes between the legs, throws it back into Şengün. As soon as Clay helps down, Şengün gets rid of that ball real quick and sends it back out. And this is how you end up getting a more open shot. Again, like I don't want to overreact and overstate stuff like this, but it's the little things like this that do lead to Whitmore getting more open shots consistently and likely being able to hopefully shoot a better percentage. Drills this one. So defensively here, guarding Klay Thompson. This is one example of just kind of getting caught on screens, right? I wouldn't say this is a disaster. You know, your third quarter, Dallas is not in the bonus, right? You're trying to stay attached to a really tough defender to guard off the ball on Klay Thompson. Klay does a really good job with just that little V move, V cut of setting him up and then coming back this way around the screen. And he ends up just getting tied up with Kleber. It's a foul. Is what it is. This one, Whitmore is the low man. Does a good job just being available here. Making Kyrie feel his presence, being a nuisance. This is kind of an overloaded side of the court. Him being the low man. I like how Jalen has stepped in between PJ Washington and Clay, because if he is to beat Alperin because Fred can't get over this screen, Whitmore does have to be the low man help there. So he has to at least be available. Even though he's guarding Clay, he has to at least be available and knowing what's going on. And because Alperin has gotten engaged, they just kind of decide to pseudo peel this. I know that Fred is like there, but Fred ends up deciding to kind of stay out high here. Alperin does a good job using his size, walling up, making life harder for Kyrie. You get that little deflection on the back end from Whitmore, and now you're out on the break. And guys, a wild pass has appeared. Look at this. Look, he's not manipulating anybody here. But the thing with Whitmore is that when he's in transition like this, he doesn't really have to. Guys like this are going to have to load up against him because he is so big and so physical. Like PJ has to be here. Kleber has to be here. He's going to be able to go through PJ Washington's body when he's downhill if those guys don't wall up and load up. Brooks drills the three. But hey, we're seeing passes. We're seeing where it's at. This one, they decide to put two on the ball. 1, 2. This is a little nice rub action there. Cam Whitmore is going to have to be the help man who stops this downhill drive. And you know what? Look, he doesn't wall up necessarily. I'd love to see him kind of wall up here. I love the way that he's down in a stance, though. I love that he's ready. He's sliding. PJ does a good job of using a crossover here, but Cam just drops his hips, stays in front, right? That's good work. That's really good work. Makes that a tough contested look from PJ Washington. So Whitmore here deals with the screen, fights over top. Again, he can get locked on these screens occasionally. That is a real factor with him. But he's so fast downhill and he's so explosive vertically that he has real margin for error to be able to deal with it when that happens. Here, gets around the screen, is able to kind of get back in the play and be able to use his leaping ability and length to be able to contest the shot there. And now we're downhill again. Going to the corner here, relocating. And again, this is just sick. So early screen action, little step up there. Fred's going to try and get downhill. Whitmore going to filter through to the corner. Still has two guys on him. Fred decides to get into like a little dribble handoff here. You can see that Adams is kind of setting up to come and set like a little secondary screen here if he needs it. Whitmore pumps here like he's going to shoot. Quentin Grimes comes flying out. PJ comes flying out. He stops. Drives. And this is where I think Whitmore is just like really special in a lot of ways. Look at the stride length, the ability to decelerate. That's why he is as good as he is as a scorer. There are not many guys who are going to be able to make Derek Lively just look like he is a statue like that. Kind of goes right with the Euro. Steps, comes around, easy lay-in. That's what makes him just a really, really special potential scorer. And why he's still averaging like 13 points in 20 minutes a game over his last 9 games. He can really, really score the basketball because of his physical tools. This one, Whitmore on the wing. Attention to detail and not getting ahead of yourself here, right? I actually think he's kind of trying to set up to do the right thing here and get this ball over to the streaming man down the court, who I think is Aaron Holiday. But he just loses the ball, right? And then, you know, this is where the body language stuff, where people don't like it, comes into play. He kind of throws the hands up, gets frustrated with himself. That stuff bothers me a little bit less than it bothers other people, but I'll call it out at least. That's the, you know, just the little focus, the little attention to detail things that need to continue to come forward with Whitmore. He's 20 years old. He's still super young. He's going to figure it out. But that's why he doesn't always play. There are little moments where you can kind of see through where he doesn't always play. Charles asks in the comments, I don't know if it's been covered, but do you see Cam's athleticism ever translating defense? Honestly, in this game I'm breaking down, really only had like one breakdown, that play against PJ. I think it absolutely can translate to defense. And look, we're going to, I think, maybe see another play here where it's going to, no, I lied. That was wrong. That's not this play. But to answer Charles's question, and I can't put it up on the screen because I'm using this new software and I don't know how to do that. I do think it can. The one thing I will say with Whitmore, though, like, yes, he's an elite athlete. Yes, he's super explosive. Yes, he has like pretty solid like lateral ability when he's sliding in one direction. The fact that he has that like kind of, I don't want to say stiff through his hips because like you saw that Euro step where he got all the way around, but he's a bigger body dude. And I do think that thing where he gets caught on screens is probably going to continue to happen a little bit more than maybe you would like to see with somebody like Whitmore athletically, defensively. But overall, as long as the engagement continues to be where it's been this season, in the little 9-game stretch that he's played, where I think it's actually been like pretty okay. Yeah, I think that the athleticism can translate to him being a plus defender who is super switchable and makes these weak side rotations for steals and blocks. Like all of that stuff will exist, but he's not going to be a perfect defender. Like there are going to be flaws where things pop up and that'll be okay. Here, ends up just kind of getting swatted in transition. That's one where, you'd probably just love to see him pump fake here. But, no pump, whatever. This one, he's in the weak side corner here. Now we're out again in transition. It really is the deceleration for me mixed with the explosiveness that makes him just such a sick player. Like this is, or has potential to be a really sick player. Like the feel for the game, the passing, the attention to detail defensively, all that has to improve. But you can see the signs and you can see the flashes here. Like this is a long closeout. He sets up, gets the crossover, and then is able to slow down in such a manner to where Maxey is here. Any mismatch, like he is a walking mismatch nightmare waiting to happen against bigs. Like he's going to be hard to deal with against these guys throughout the course of his career, especially as he continues to get even more skilled with the ball in his hands. He's a very good shooter. Like I completely buy the shot. As a 3-point guy who can knock down pull-ups, hopefully can knock him down off the catch. So this one, you see him get kind of caught on this screen here for a second. In my opinion, like, Dinwiddie takes this DHO. Kleba, like, really, hits Whitmore here. This just needs to be a shot from Dinwiddie. But he allows Whitmore to get around. They decide to peel switch this and have Alpi out in space with Dinwiddie. Alpi just gets torched, but you do get the weak side help coming from Whitmore here. I love how engaged he is, how active he is. B, above the rim, right? Fingertips above the rim here. Dinwiddie's going to try and throw one down. Good luck. And now we're out on the break again. Whitmore's going to ask for a little lob here. Instead, it's going to go to Holiday, who misses. But there's just a lot to be excited about, I think. There's a lot to be excited about with all of this. So here, gets around the screen, fights back into it. I think this might be the last play that we're going to show. So here, gets around the screen. You can see Alpi here. He calls out just to peel it and for Whitmore to stay. Whitmore decides to recover. That gives Kleba this open lane to the rim. Because he has this open lane to the rim, Jalen ends up having to tag really far in. And that's what makes Quentin Grimes wide open here. That one is a breakdown on Whitmore. I lied. I thought he only had the one, but this is definitely a breakdown on Whitmore here. And the reason that it's a breakdown, and you can very obviously see that it's a breakdown, is that Alpi's finger is in the air here, and he's saying, "Hey, this is a peel." He's really got to be a little bit more active, in my opinion, at seeing what's happening in those moments. Just my take. Just my take there. Okay. That's our last. I think that is the last one. Last clip that we had from Whitmore. The last 5 minutes of this game got a little bit ugly, if I remember correctly. So what does all this mean? What does all this set us up for with Whitmore, right? I think he looks like a backup NBA wing right now. Just point blank. He's 20 years old. He's averaging a crazy number of points per minute. He's probably right around 20 points per 36 minutes. He is a very consistent scorer in that he can get you buckets. Like after tonight where he went 6 for 8 and 3 for 3 from 3, over his last 9 games, he's going to be at like 13 and a half points, shooting 46, 40, 91 from the field. I think that you can continue to play Whitmore because I think that the defense, even though we just saw that last little breakdown, I think that by and large, the defense has improved enough for him to play. Now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that like he's some all-star level defender or anything like that. I don't think he's that yet. But I do think that there are enough tools here to where you can buy into him continuing to improve this season with further opportunities and reps. Look, I don't know if my impression is that Houston is going to be pretty happy to kind of roll with what it's got and then take their flexibility into the offseason. You know, I'm sure there are a lot of other teams around the league that'd be really interested to have Whitmore, but I'd be surprised if Houston ended up moving him. Who knows? Like, I'm not going to speculate. Like, he does have some press conferences where he's a little, it looks complicated with him. I think he probably wants to play, which is okay. That's a natural feeling, but we'll see. I would guess they're probably not going to move him though, based off of what we've seen. The upside is still quite high, I think. Before we get into Alex Sarr, Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. We love Prize Picks here at Game Theory because of how easy they make it to get real money sports action. We've got the NFL playoffs coming up this weekend. We've got the Steelers and the Ravens. I'm excited for that game. I'm always excited when the Steelers play the Ravens, even if I have concerns about how well it's going to go, given that they have lost 4 games in a row. But if you have faith and you think Najee Harris is going to go off, if you have faith and you think that Russell Wilson's going to go crazy against the Ravens, you can pick over on their yardage totals and turn your sports opinions into real money throughout the playoffs with Prize Picks. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Download the app today and use the code Game Theory to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game. Okay. Second guy I want to talk about, Alex Sarr. So this was much more exciting to me to do an Alex Sarr video before tonight. Alex Sarr went 1 for 12 with 2 points tonight against the Houston Rockets. Not ideal. The timing is quite poor. I know when to pick him. But here's the other thing. If you look at Alex Sarr's previous 10 games prior to this one, he was averaging 15 points, 6.8 rebounds, 3 assists, shooting 49, 46, 63. Free throws still aren't great. But really, like, what had showcased itself is the passing. And look, like, I think on some level, he's also been blocking shots. He's been a terrific shot blocker throughout the year. But the passing and the short roll ability and the ability to make quick decisions, that's stuff that we talked about pre-draft. We saw it, for instance, in those G League Ignite Perth Wildcats games last year early in the draft cycle. He has 3 games during that run where he had 5 assists of this last little 10-game run here. We're going to break down the Chicago game. where I thought he was really, really effective. I'm going to pull up the numbers now while we're talking. Sarr in that Chicago game ends up with 11 points, 10 rebounds, but has 5 assists. And I thought was generally pretty effective. And here's the thing, like, if you look through his recent games, it's really not even the most effective of his games. That's kind of why I picked it. I didn't want to just like cherry pick like the best Alex Sarr game necessarily. Like he had 19, 7, and 5 against New Orleans on the 3rd. He had 18, 11, and 3 against New Orleans on the 5th. He had 18 and 4 against New York and shot 50% from the field and 50% from 3 in that game. He's been really, really good over the course of the last little while, Alex Sarr, even though he was so bad tonight in the Rockets game. And it's okay to call that out. He's a rookie. He's very young. He's going to figure it out. But I guess my point is like he'd already kind of started to figure it out a little bit, which is exciting. And that's why I wanted to break down Alex Sarr. So let's kind of jump into the tape here. Let's see if I've got this kind of centered well. I do. Okay. Maybe move that a touch this way. Yeah. Okay. So, for people who have not watched a ton of Alex Sarr yet this year, Sarr is a 7-foot big man from France originally. Played for the Perth Wildcats over here in the NBL last year. He is a combo 4-5, realistically. Like, look, I really respect what Washington's doing, just playing him at the 5, because I think that is absolutely where you get the most marginal advantage from his skills. I prefer him playing the 5 long term. I think that's absolutely where you will get the most use out of him at the end of the day. Having said that, he's probably not physically ready to play the 5 yet. And you will see that throughout the course of this game. And that's okay. You definitely saw it over the course of tonight against Şengün. Şengün is very difficult to deal with. He is so physical. But let's just kind of jump in and talk through what we saw from Sarr against Chicago on the 1st. So in this one, you can see him in touching distance here in ball screen defense. You get to see him rotate over. I actually like this. This is pretty solid drop coverage, in my opinion, from Sarr. He's active. He's engaged against a guy in Kobe White that can pull up and shoot from 3, but also he's waiting for Nikola Vucevic to make his decision on if he's going to roll or if he's going to pop. Vucevic caught him a few times in this game. Not going to lie to you. I think that Sarr's defensive positioning in general is going to have to continue to take steps. But here, I think he's doing a really good job positioning himself. He retreats, allows Carrington to recover. Kobe shoots that ball out to the corner. You get that long closeout here from Bilal Coulibaly. Sarr is going to have to be available to help after Coulibaly gets beat. And the thing that Sarr does here that is just a little frustrating is you can see him just kind of get on the top of his heel or the top of his toes there a little bit, right? And just loses his momentum. Decent second jump guy, but not super explosive. So that's an issue. He gets pump faked. Levine scores. So here, couple of little quick screens. Sarr setting the second quick screen here for Coulibaly to come downhill. I like that Sarr is ready and active. Kind of sees the confusion here that Pat Williams seems to have. It looks like to me on this that nobody's really talking between these 3 guys. On Chicago, between Kobe, Vucevic, Pat Williams. Not real sure what we're going to do here. Pat kind of looks, he's saying like, hey, where am I going? Kobe stays here. Pat goes back out to Sarr. Gets the deflection. But Sarr realizes the ball is going to go to Koulibaly and he's going to cut. Now, this is one where we're going to get to see like the strengths and the flaws of Sarr as a player right now, all in one. And really, like, what could be his catastrophic flaw as a player. Like, honestly, if he's not going to make it as a real difference maker, it will be because of this. He is not a great finisher right now. This is an unbelievable spin move for a 7-footer. This is fluid, drop step, spin. That is tough to guard, guys. That is super, super impressive for him to get there and to get to that spot and to get that open. That is a fast spin move for a 7-footer. That's quick. And man, I really wish that he would have made this shot. But that's the thing. He's not a great finisher right now. You can look at basically any numbers in regard to Sarr at this point. Just doesn't finish it well right now. Gonna have to improve that. So here, Sarr's going to come out high, hold the ball high. Now we're going to get into a quick little short roll here. And again, he's just going to get caught. Doesn't totally know where to go. Dribble handoff into rescreen for Bub. And then he's going to get into this little area here. And this is where you can see that he is still very young and he's still just 20 years old. For most veterans in the NBA, if you catch the ball here like this, you automatically look opposite corner. Like Clint Capella figured out eventually. Clint Capella, if you watched him when he was very young, had no idea that this was here. Alex Sarr is going to have to figure that out. And honestly, by and large, you're going to see him pass in this game. He's been a really good distributor so far. This is going to be an automatic look for him at some point in his career. Like he's going to catch, and instead of putting the ball on the ground, he's going to pivot on this foot, turn, and fire this ball to the corner. But here he doesn't. He puts the ball on the ground once. I think he sees like a potential mismatch maybe in Giddey, and that's not really a mismatch because Giddey's 6'9", and just tries to attack it, and it's a bad decision, and there's just unfortunately not much that you can really do about that. That's where the age is going to be a factor for him. You see it pop up in his film a little bit too regularly. So here, this is one where I think he does a pretty good job. DHO keeper would be very easy for him to decide to get too high here. You see it all the time with young bigs. Instead, he stays solid, waits for Vooch to hand it off. Vooch doesn't hand it off, decides to keep it. Alex does a good job getting back into the play, then walls up, gets his arms high, forces a really tough shot. It's everything you could want. Everything you could want there defensively from Sarr. Perfect. Rebound comes out. Kick out. And now we're going to drill a three. Seriously, you can see why he went number 2 overall. The numbers say it too. Like again, like 15, 7, and 3 over the last 10 games. Like this dude is 7 foot, 7'1", something like that. 7'4" wingspan, blocks shots, moves really well on defense, can spin, can like pass and play make. Like you can see all of these reasons that you're excited about him. And this is one of them. He can step out and drill a 3 too. Like the upside is serious. Like that's why I had him at number 1. I thought that the floor was quite a bit lower than even guys like Reed Shepherd, Steph Castle, guys like that. But the ceiling is so high, especially whenever you're talking about a big who can potentially stretch it in today's NBA. There are just a lot of outcomes where it really works for Sarr. You can see him talking there. That's why I grabbed this one. Like, look at him coming down. Be really easy for a young player to kind of stop. He's calling it out. He's calling out coverages. Doesn't allow Vooch to get higher than him or to get beneath him in the screen here. Also stays attached here. Also ready to go help if he needs to on Giddey. Does a good choice choosing not to jump and foul there. Makes himself available for the rebound. That's perfect. That's what you want. It's what you want from your young, developing 20-foot big who's probably physically overmatched for the NBA right now. This one, short roll. Perfect. Almost like an early exit stack kind of action here. More of just like a ram early exit, I guess, where Sarr is coming down to set a screen and Bilal, instead of going to set a screen here on Levine, decides to exit. If Jordan Poole can beat his guy off the bounce then, like he does here, it sets up a circumstance where Vooch has to be over to help. And I love how available Sarr makes himself. Puts himself right in the pocket here to create an easy look for Poole. Goes up, finishes. Again, good example, though, of him not being wildly explosive. A lot of bigs in the NBA, if you're catching the ball here and you're planting here, you're going up and dunking the shit out of this ball. Sarr right now doesn't really have that juice in his legs to be able to do that. Maybe as he gets physically stronger, as he gets older, it could come. I don't know that that should be an expectation. But even though he made this one, like, it is kind of a good example of what the concerns could be with Alex long term. So here, again, ball screen. This is one where, honestly, I think he kind of just stays attached way too long. Like, he's here. He does a good job staying attached. I think he was right to stay attached that long. But up until now, like, realistically, he has to turn his head and go to find Vooch, because Vooch is a real shooter. Vooch is hitting over 40% of his threes this year. Instead, he just kind of ball watches here. Even though Champagnie, like, has this under wraps. Like, Champagnie's got this. He's good. He has Giddey contained here. That's just like kind of ball watching and leaving open Vooch, like, in a wide open manner. That's kind of a missed assignment to me. That's not good enough. Ends up being okay, but not quite good enough. But this one, we're going to come down. And now we're going to throw up like a flat floater off the glass or off the rim. Not ideal. I like the way that he rolls right into the pocket here. I like Jordan Poole hitting him. Eventually, I wish he would have hit him like directly in the pocket, but whatever. To me, you need to see him manipulate Levine out with your eyes and go up and like really finish this at the basket. Or if Levine decides to stay home on you, you got to shoot this ball out to the corner. It's got to be one of the two. This possession, in my opinion, can't end in this floater. You have 16 seconds left on the shot clock. You've got a lot of time. You have a potential 3 that you're passing up. You either need to get to the basket and take a left-handed shot, which, by the way, Sarr does not take a ton of lefty shots at this point either. Like, if you know that Levine is continuing to shoot out, you should be able to plant with your right here as you use your stride extension and go up and finish with your left. But he's not super comfortable doing that yet, which is why you see him go up for this like 7 or 8 foot floater way far from the rim. And the percentages on this shot are just going to be lower. That's the reality. Like, it's going to be harder to make these shots. Misses it. What can you do? This one, offensive rebound, kick out. Why did I grab that play? It's a good question, guys. Let's see. So Sarr rolls to the rim. Yeah, I grabbed this just because I liked the aggressiveness attacking once he sees that Vooch isn't going to bother to box him out. I like the way he reads the ball off the glass here. Doesn't just automatically kind of fly in around Vooch here. Sees that he has a teammate taking up that area that has a chance to get the rebound as it is. So just read the ball off the glass, see where it's going to go. Get the ball out. Start a new play. That's good. And then this one, I like here again. He is talking in transition. Like, I think that's really important to notice. You can see him here. He's pointing to Corey Kispert. Hey, Kispert, you got to take Julian Phillips in the corner here. I'm going to help at the rim. That's excellent. That's like the little mini, hey, I'm quarterbacking the defense stuff early in my career that you really hope to see from a younger dude. It's not a big deal, but it's enough of a deal that it's worth calling out. Here, Sarr. That's about as perfect as you're going to get in ball screen defense. So, does a great job getting as big as possible, arms extended, on the balls of his feet. Drops back after the pocket pass here. Gets back to Vooch. Walls up. Contests. Maybe even gets a hand on the shot. Perfect. That's how you get a stop. Again, positioning here in ball screen defense. Really, really good in my opinion. So Pat Williams looks like he might reject this for a second before going under, which is why Sarr is kind of filtering over to that side a little bit. Gets in the middle. And again, gets big. Arms out. Backpedaling. Making sure Vooch doesn't get behind him. But also engaging. Using his length. Making this an impossible shot for Williams to be able to get up. Get the deflection. Jordan Poole gets the steal. That's caused by Sarr in ball screen defense. 2 straight awesome reps in ball screen defense, I thought there. So here he's trailing. And again, like, if you're going to take these trailer shots, you got to be able to get to the rim or you got to kick it out. This can't be the gather point with this much time left on the shot clock. Can't be it. Can't be the move. We can't have 10-foot floaters with 16 seconds left on the shot clock that are contested. It's just not good enough. That's where he's going to have to improve, working on his gathers, getting stronger. It looks smooth, but it's a bad shot. It's a bad shot to take, and he doesn't have quite enough touch yet to be able to make those consistently. this is where the passing starts to begin. So remember last time when I mentioned that I got really frustrated that he didn't look opposite corner. So here you get the pocket pass this time from Jordan Poole into Sarr, and watch Sarr's head immediately. Immediately turns. Immediately goes opposite corner because he knows that Pat Williams right here is probably helping in. Gets the opposite corner. Kyle Kuzma cuts. Easy bucket. Perfect. That's the way this is supposed to look. That's the way all of this is supposed to run. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. So here, down screen for Kuz. Good work here. I grabbed this one because to me, and this is like a small thing. So he's going to down screen and he's going to roll. Getting a message from Andrew saying, let's take a look. Where are we at? Are we back here? Are we back? Interesting. Okay. I think we're back here. Okay, I think we're back here. I don't know. I mean, very clearly, like some sort of weird. I finally got an email saying that there was like a copyright infringement of some sort. Copyright match. Your stream was interrupted. My guess on this is that what happened here is that they did just match the copyright. Like I don't have like a strike or anything on the channel. Like it's not there. Yeah, not totally sure what happened there. That's a new one. I sometimes we'll get notifications on copyright, but we've never gotten a pull down quite like that one before. My guess is that that does have to do with the new software we're trying to use with OBS here, which is a bit frustrating, unfortunately. We're going to go back and we're going to try this, and if we get cut again, we're just going to get cut and we're going to call it for the night. I don't think. I mean, maybe it'll happen again. We'll see. But we'll just dive in and we'll talk through it and we'll see what happens. Andrew, I'm sure, will let me know if we get copyrighted again. Regardless. Okay. So on this play, we're going to see Sarr come down, set a down screen here. Levine kind of gets caught napping against Champagny here. You get this cut, you get this pass. What I would like to see here, and this is a small thing, what I would like to see here is I really think that Sarr needs to be able to seal Pat Williams off here. Has to be able to seal him. If you can't seal him, there's no point. Got to be able to seal him here. It's a small thing. It's a little thing. But it's the kind of little thing that'll drive me a little bit crazy if I was a coach. Because really, he makes this a potential contest from Williams getting down here. It's a small thing, but I think, as he gets stronger and understands where he is a little bit better positionally, hopefully it'll come. Again, quick little ball screen. I do think here you get an example of just what Sarr's ability around the basket already has made people feel in terms of his length and athleticism. So Washington gets beat here on this cut. Sarr is going to come down and contest this at the rim. Pat Williams very easily could still try and go up for this. But because Sarr is there, he chooses not to. That's a good sign. Now, this is, just defense 101 on some level in the NBA. This is the correct rotation here from Bub Carrington. The automatic move here has to be an X out from Alex Sarr. It just has to be an X out immediately. Instead, he's kind of ball watching here. You can literally see his eyes are on the ball. But instead, he's got to understand, in help defense, especially if this dude's the guy that's open. Zach LaVine is a killer on wide open threes. You have got to be able to figure out where you need to be, and you got to be there on the X out. You got to be there. All right. All right. Okay. So the move here is going to be pretty simple. We're going to call this tonight. And I will probably record this on my own and then upload it. That'll be the move here. I would think that Andrew will be able to cut together half of Sarr that I did already and the other half at a different point. whenever I record this thing. And then I'll do Kasparas and upload Kasparas at some point. I would think that this will be pretty easily doable. It's just like as videos. So we'll just do these as videos instead of streams. But I appreciate everyone for coming and hanging out. It was fun while it lasted. It looks like OBS might not be it, maybe. Just might not be the move for this, unfortunately, and that's okay. But the quality was way better. So I'm kind of trying to decide how to go about this now. Do we just upload these as videos as opposed to doing them as live streams? We'll see. We'll figure it out. I'm really not that worried on the... Yeah, like this is not copyright. As Dirty Dancer says, like clearly transformative. Yeah, my guess is that OBS is just a little bit more sensitive on copyright streaming as opposed to, or on like copyright, notices on stuff than what StreamYard might be. We might try again in StreamYard, honestly, and see if it works. But I do like the quality being a little bit better. And I do think that it probably will work better if I just upload these as videos and deal with the copyright like ahead of time. So maybe that's the move. Probably a little bit more work for Andrew, unfortunately, but what can you do? I appreciate y'all for hanging out. We'll be back maybe tomorrow. Probably do some videos on these. Probably we'll just do an Alex Sarr video on this game in general. And then we'll upload it again. And then we'll upload Kasparas as well. And then the Cam Whitmore one, I would guess, is going to be fine to be uploaded. We'll find out, though. Until next time, though, we'll be back on... I can guarantee you we'll be back with Bryce.